Continuing with the outline, in this video I want to make a bit of a parenthesis because I found some very interesting information related to my previous video and to some of the arguments that I've been making. On the previous video I spoke about the brain dilemma and how modern scientists truly believe that we are just mechanical beings somehow ordered by some abstract consciousness, abstract functioning of the brain, which supposedly is in charge of every aspect of consciousness. Now, of course, we have a lot of theories suggesting otherwise. We have a lot of evidence suggesting otherwise. But there's this abstract concept of science, which in reality a lot of scientific theories are contradicting each other, and it depends on the scientist. It depends on the experiments, on the theories, and a lot of things. It's not science as an abstract, right? So I spoke about that, and I spoke about the brain and how no one has seen other person's mental images, the visualizations. We're speaking about this metaphysical, these ontological concepts, which are things that are not really in the brain. Of course, I said that whenever we have confirmed, this has been confirmed in many experiments by many theorists and many scientists, that whenever you have a feeling or you think of something or you visualize something, there are certain areas in the brain which get activated and the synapses start firing, and we have the whole mechanical procedure in the brain. But besides this mechanical process, there is a metaphysical aspect of it. There is the concept on how you experience these things, how you experience the visions. You have a mental image in your mind which nobody can see. You can see the brain activated, you can see the synapses going through the fMRI and some other technologies available. So you can think of an object, you can see it in your mind, and the synapses that are activated, they are on the machine. But the machine does not tell you exactly how you perceive it. It does not show a mental image. It does not show the emotions you attach to that image and what it means to you. It's, for example, a horse. Someone who raises horses and who lives in a farm and who knows horses does not have the same concept of a horse from someone who lives in a city, for example. These are things that are ontological. These are metaphysical, and I stand by my argument. No one has seen this in another person's brain. But along the forums and along some of the conversations that I usually have online social media while I'm trying to talk about these things, somebody told me, well, in fact, the scientists, quote unquote, have made it happen. They have seen another person's mental images. To be completely honest, this was a big shock to me, and I couldn't believe it at first, and I still don't believe it because it's not true. But yet we have to discuss this technology because regardless that my argument still stands, this technology that they have come up with it's a huge step into understanding what's really going on. So what they did is that they managed to get the code from the synapses. Now this word is very important, the code. Before I move forward, I would like to remind you that if you want to join the growing discussion on consciousness and would like to be notified on the latest scientific discoveries and theories surrounding this topic and how they connect to ancient mythologies and philosophies, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, as I'll try to upload at least one video per week as I continue with the outline. So this research is also very recent, and they're barely coming forward with some real answers. I've seen this in a couple of articles from UC Berkeley, I believe, and some other, I believe it was the University of Oregon, and there's also some research ongoing in Japan. So what they did is that they showed images to people who are connected, who are wired to detectors for brain waves, EMG, and they put them also inside the fMRI machines, And what they do is that they show them images. I've seen this with movies, and they also have words with pixels on them with different shapes. And they did another one for dreams. So let's go with the one with the images. They do with facial recognition. So whenever a person sees a face on a screen, their brain creates a certain pattern of the synapses of the whole mechanical process that happens in the visual cortex and some other areas of the brain, and they started coding this information. Based upon this code, they connected it to learning software, and they attached images to specific brain synapses, to specific brain patterns. They attached images online, or clips, or something like that. The details of this research are not very clear yet. We have there's a lot of criticisms to this quote-unquote woo from the New Age, which I agree, there's a lot of woo in the New Age circles. But as I found out, it's the same thing with the scientific circles. We have all these big titles coming. Scientists read your mind. And they plugged certain algorithms into a learning software, and they hooked it to online pictures which show the same code. So no, they're not reading your mind. They are predicting based upon code. It's not the same thing. Although it might be similar, it's not the same thing. So once they got the code and they had some database on these specific brain patterns, the specific brain information, then they showed, in the case of the experiment with movies, they showed clips to people who are hooked to the whole technology, who are wired and have all these sensor systems in their brains. And what happens is that the software reads the brain patterns and creates a clip on its own. And what happened is that the clip that the person was watching was quite similar to the one that the software was producing based upon the code. Now, this is huge. This is a quantum leap in understanding how things actually work. And likewise, this could be a good argument against some of the theories that suggest that indeed there's consciousness outside the brain. Because they can say that, we can see these visual images that you are having. There are actually code in your brain. There is a code in your brain, and this is the visual images. But yet, this is not true. The argument still stands. What they have is the code for the visual cortex. The mechanical process remains the same. This is how the brain as a tool analyzes the data available, and even in some of the research that I read, they say this. What the brain is capturing is the shapes and some of the colors of the items that they are seeing. They are putting a lot of effort into the visual cortex. So they have found a code in the visual cortex that produces these images. Yet the ontological, the metaphysical nature of the images, of the thoughts of a person, are still somewhere else. The code is not the same as the actual perception of the person experiencing the image, and we still have got no clue of where the things like meaning, for example, of a specific movie or clip or image, or some other feelings attached to something can be found. Where is this? Where are all the other processes that are going on? This is the two types of consciousness. They are talking about the mechanical process. And I am talking about something else. I am talking about the emotions. I am talking about different things, the meanings of things. You can think of art. If a person looks at a picture, in a way they can sort of connect with the artist, and at the same time they can have their own meaning to a certain painting. or to a certain shape or to a certain meaning of something. So no, scientists cannot read minds still. They cannot reproduce mental images or the perception of another person. They cannot see the mental images in someone's brain. They can, however, and they have found the code, which is huge. I will explain in a minute. But they just have found the code of the visual cortex that recreates these thoughts, these images. There is a code. So why is it so important that there is a code? Well, because this ties into the whole theory of the unified field. The reason why I got into this conundrum was because I was talking about the spirit and how Jesus talked about the spirit. He was trying to explain this consciousness, this energy that is outside and within us and so on, right? I'm tying this to some of the new theories on the unified field of consciousness, on quantum theories, which suggest that this energy that is in all particles, that is everywhere, is somehow unified and is the seat of consciousness. Everything is, at the end, consciousness. So we can think of particles and atoms and electrons and everything that there are these little particles that are the foundation of reality. We can think of them as pixels. And what our brain does is that it brings them together, and whatever it sees, there's a code for it. So our perception of the outside pixels comes to us as something unified. And this in turn allows us to have experiences, to create meanings from things, to create different subconscious and ontological perceptions upon things. Now, for example, if we think of a tree is natural. We can think that there's a code for a tree. But if we think of a bed created by humans, is there a code for a bed in nature? No, the brain does not have a code for a bed. The brain interprets a bed and puts the visual image in our minds. When we think of a bed, of something that we know, something that we've seen before, there's a code for it because our brain has managed to recreate that image for us. So this is what some of the quantum physicists believe. They believe that if a tree falls down, no one is there to see it or to hear it. Did it really happen? Did it really fall down? Are we rendering reality? We don't know. We don't know the answers to these questions. This is why quantum physics is called, quote-unquote, spooky science. These are hard questions that make the whole thing a bit complicated, but at the same time, when we look deeper into this new research, we can get more answers and we can understand a bit better what's actually going on. So I'm gonna put this video in a new playlist called Ongoing Research, because this has happened to me before, where I found the specific arguments or specific research that challenges me and that needs to be dissected and understood before moving on with the outline. Of course, I'm going to try to reel back and put all of this together into going forward with the outline. Now, as I said, I got into this conundrum because I was looking at a theory from a psychologist and an award winner in neuroscience, talking about a new theory which suggests that the brain does not have encoded patterns. The brain creates, the brain perceives, and the brain predicts. It predicts the best guess based on what you've already fed to it. This includes emotions. So when they say, oh, there's a code in your brain for this and for that, and specifically for emotions, for fear, for all of these things, they talk about codes. And what she found out is that no, and there are other scientists, which I will go into, which they're all basically saying that the brain does not have codes. The brain predicts upon previous information. The brain analyzes the environment around it and predicts the next best thing. Now, when we think about the collapse of the wave function, this makes total sense. At the end of the day, we are not speaking about consciousness being generated upon this mechanical process. What the scientists are figuring out is how the brain encodes the physical world around us, yet the meanings, the ontological and the metaphysical aspects of all these things are still a mystery. If you're on the path of finding the truth about reality and our purpose as humans on Earth, the information that I have to share concerns you. After a lifetime of research in philosophies ranging from Buddhism to the occult, I've encountered themes and patterns along some baffling information that is beginning to be seriously studied by science. A rational divine outline, The Ghost of Jesus, is the first iteration of this project, where I analyze the message of Jesus without dogmatism, fanaticism, or religious bias. You can find my work available on Amazon on the link below. If you find this work valuable, consider subscribing, sharing, and following me on social media, as it'll help others in the same path to find this information. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.